Cowboys Nation. How the hell y'all feeling right now?
Yo, this is Neville Gallimore from the Dallas Cowboys, and I want to give a major shout out to Mike Tag. Keep bringing the hype to the Cowboys Nation. We love and appreciate it. Now, can you dig it?
What is up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag here. Obviously, Kelly K9 is in the house. We also have a special guest, Mikey from the Fantasy Football Show. We may get a couple other guys in here. We got a little celebration that we're trying to do. That's the point of this show. But we had to do a special day because we got turkey coming up soon. So we're going to do it on Tuesday. So make sure you hit that like, subscribe, share. Be spreading the word. Everything's been going good. Cowboys obviously had a nice win. I was in Carolina. We talked a little bit about that on Monday. If you missed that show, go check it out. But Kelly, how you feeling, my man?
I'm feeling pretty good. You know, this is my favorite time of the year, man. You know, getting together with the family, turkey, football, you know, cold beer. It's my favorite tradition, man, is eating with the family and getting to watch some football on Thanksgiving. And then you got Black Friday where you got more football all day long. It's just a weekend full of football, honestly. So if you're a football fan, you can get all you can get with the football this weekend. So
yeah,
it should be good, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to tonight. We got, we get to celebrate hitting the 2,000 subscribers. So we're gonna give a lucky fan one of the Cuts by Jones Dallas Cowboys cuts for your man cave. So one of our lucky guests is going to get that. We've got the names all drawn out. We're going to put some more names in the pot as people join in, but I'm excited for somebody to get that cut because I know I've got one in my area. So if you're going to get one, display it with pride because it's going to be a really nice cut.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll give Mikey a quick shout out from the Fantasy Football Show. This is their night. That's why we're stealing it. We're raining on their parade. But how you feeling, Mike? How you feeling today?
I'm doing good, I'm happy to be here with you guys, Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, Congratulations, 2,000 subscribers, and good luck to everyone who's in the giveaway.
Yep, and so the giveaway is basically this. Kelly did tweet out, so I got all the names there. All I need you to do is in the comments as we get going, just put enter. All you got to do is just hit enter, and then I will be writing names down. I'll be throwing you in the Dallas Cowboy official popcorn bucket. That's what we do here. Everything's got to be official. So all I need you guys to do in the chat, make sure you hit the like first, but just type enter in the chat. I will be writing names down. We'll be running through it. We can't cut. He can't be winning his own stuff. Family members of the show are not eligible. But no, seriously, everyone else in the chat, all you got to do is hit enter. I'll throw your name in there and we'll get rolling. And Kelly and Mikey will be kind of running the show if I'm writing. But we're going to get into some stuff. And first thing is, I guess we got to lean on Mikey. We'll have him help us before we get into the Cowboy football game against Washington. And we're going to talk rivalry. We're going to talk all this stuff. We might be here all night because we're on a special day, but fantasy football. Mikey, give an update. What is going on? What's the standings? Do you know what's going on? Kelly, somebody, am I in the running or am I out of this thing yet? What's going on?
You're kind of like in the middle. Kelly's more up in the running, but my team is getting screwed because I have Jamar Chase, who now doesn't have Joe Burrow, so I don't know how that's going to go. Patrick Mahomes isn't looking good. I'm injured. Devon A-Chain played one snap and then got hurt on that one snap. So it's tough right now for fantasy football. But Jamar Chase has been hurting my feelings because I've tried to back that man up and he just doesn't help.
Yeah, it's it always sucks when you have injuries in the fantasy football front, man, especially when it's key players, and then it's. Luckily for me, some of my guys have been kind of coming along, man. So it's Jamar Gibbs from Detroit. I knew that was going to be kind of a long play, but he's finally started to produce. For the longest time, it was just like they wouldn't giving him carries, man. He was sitting behind Montgomery, and I'm just like, why don't you? And then finally they give him the ball. He had that breakout game. And now they see what they have in Gibbs. He's a beast. Yeah. So now he's starting to give me some points, and Bijan's finally coming around and starting to get a little bit too. He's been kind of disappointing this year, but if I get those guys going, man, we're going. And I lucked out with C.J. Stroud. I picked him up off the waiver wire after drafting Justin Fields and him being a big old fucking bust for me. Like CJ Stroud, the rookie, man, he's just tearing it up.
I'm happy for the Texans, man, because like I said before, the Texans have who I wanted the Cowboys to draft. I wanted the Cowboys to draft Tank Dell, John Minch.
Yeah,
so I'm happy. Tank Dell has saved me in a lot of my leagues because I have him in almost all of my leagues, and he has been killing it. So I'm happy for him.
Yeah, hell of a receiver, good weapon for C.J. Stroud. That's a nice security blanket for him to have. And then Dalton Schultz, former Dallas Cowboy, not doing too bad over there with them either.
Even Noah Brown's been a great couple of years.
Did you see the one weekend where it was Noah Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Dalton Schultz led the NFL in receiving? Top 4 were Dallas Cowboys. How crazy is that?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Where I
just let you know, man, Cowboys cranking out that talent.
We have the best talent. We just gotta win. Because even the Carolina game, I was kind of nervous at first. I was like, come on now, don't do this to me, because our offense was kind of slow, and then they started picking up, and then defense it was 17-10 going into half, and I'm like, come on now. The second half, we got to just blow out this team, and that's exactly what we did. So I'm happy. So I'm just happy, nervous at first.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, what were you thinking, Kelly? I talked about a lot on Monday. Never got your thoughts on the Carolina game. I mean, the run defense got me a little concerned. The run offense for us got better, but it still was kind of we had some chunk plays, but got it going. But I mean, how did you leave that game? I mean, it was kind of a funky game. It seemed like we were doing things out of character. Did you get that sense? You're throwing the Wildcat. We're doing.
It was one of those games where I think the Cowboys the game was never really in doubt. I was never nervous that, oh man, we might give this one away. I think in some of those games, at least in this one, I think McCarthy and the staff they were maybe trying a few things out, trying to just, see, hey, where do we have some things that maybe we can, add this to the game plan and see if it works. If not, we'll take it out, throw it, scrap it. I knew we were going to try to run the ball a lot more against Carolina. Their run defense is suspect. Their strength is in their passing defense. So I figured that was probably going to happen. We did, consumed a lot of the clock. But I mean, I was never nervous in that Carolina game. I haven't really, and honestly, one of the things that I like about watching football is kind of that nervous feeling you get, because then it builds to that, the crescendo of the excitement when you win, to be able to celebrate. And I really haven't got that the past several weeks with the Giants, with the Panthers. I'm ready to get back to some legitimate football. I feel like the Commanders game on coming up here on Thanksgiving, I feel like that should be a little bit more competitive game. I think we'll still win that one. But the Seahawks, and the schedule is getting increasingly competitive. We're going into this home stretch where we've got a lot of, that narrative about the Cowboys not beating winning teams, that can change really quickly with the schedule we got ahead of us.
Yeah. And just kind of add to it. I had I don't know if it's me. I figured I might as well ask this. When I'm at home, I'm a lot more vocal. I'm a lot more crazy. My son he'll be the first to tell you, I'll scream, I cuss at the TV, you do everything. But when I'm at the game, I'm a little bit more focused on the game. I'm not as crazy. I'm not as loud. Are you that way, or Kelly? Are you kind of crazy both sides? Or, I mean, what's your, in the chat? I'm curious how you guys feel.
It depends. Like if so this new place that I started going to, the Cowboys watch party there, which by the way, I did ask them this weekend about doing a live, and they said, yeah, they said that's definitely something we can get in the works. So
Okay.
we're going to have to work that. But there was about 50 Cowboys fans there for this. It was a great turnout this past Sunday. So when I'm around a bunch of other crazy screaming Cowboys fans, yeah, I'm up there high-fiving, screaming, getting a little bit crazy. I pretty much only know one way to watch the game. I mean, when I'm at the game, I like to yell, I like to stand up, and I don't know, man. It's either 0 or 100. It's like one of the two. There's not really an in between for me. So I mean, that's kind of how I am when I'm watching the games. But I definitely am a lot more vocal, and let's just say the language is more R-rated at my house than when I'm. So.
Mikey, how are you at the?
Well, at home, like I'm more amped. I'm like because out in the open, I kind of get just a little shy. So I don't scream. I don't try and be like that guy, that's screaming and yelling, cussing everybody out. Like I don't try and do that.
Yeah.
I just watch the game. I'm more focused when I go to the game because I'm like, okay, what are we gonna run here? Like when I'm at the game, I'm thinking like plays that I would do. Like, all right, maybe I try and do a screen with CD, or maybe try and do a little pitch with Pollard. So that's what I do at the games.
Yeah, no, and it's and it does matter the game. Like, Kelly and I went to the Jets game. It was kind of exciting to begin, but then it just got out of hand. Those are the ones a little harder. But I'll say when I was at the Bucks playoff game, and Mikey and I were there. I was on my feet screaming, yelling, doing. I guess it's the intensity of the game. I guess plays a lot to do with that as well. And all the people jumping into. I know we've got people jumping. We're going to run it probably another 10 minutes. If you're just joining, make sure you hit enter. All you got to do is type enter, and I will throw you in, and then that way you can maybe go ahead and get you entered in. You're going to win a beautiful cut. We're going to get this out to somebody. And just an update on the Eugene Lockhart that we have as well. We had a $200 donation for the custom cut sign. So that's probably going to be hard to beat. So I think we got that one covered. And today I sent out the last picture. So we are done with the pictures. We sold out of them.
Nice.
We ended up raising close to $600 for the turkey drive for Eugene Lockhart. I mean, I'll say ain't too shabby for not even a week. I mean, Kelly, you think so? I mean, we represented, and I thank Cowboys Nation, and hopefully all of you guys who ordered a picture, you're getting them. I know it shipped out. I saw a couple of people getting them. So, at least you got something in return. Like Kelly and I always say, we're going to give you back value for your time and your efforts. We want to make sure you get something in return.
Absolutely. And I just want to say one more thing real quick about the Carolina thing. Not to just, first of all, great job, Cowboys Nation. You guys responded to the call as always. So great job. That's a really good cause, this turkey drive that Eugene has got going on. So thank you to everybody that donated. But I just wanted to say, I did see something on TikTok, and I thought this was pretty cool. And I'm sure you were probably right in the middle, smack dab in the middle of that triangle. So Cowboys Nation formed a giant triangle of tents, Cowboys tents, just this huge and I saw it from somebody from Carolina was up in, I guess, I don't know if it was an apartment building or hotel or something, but they were filming. And they said, look at this Cowboys fan base done took over. They made a damn triangle right here. They said it's a triangle of nothing but Cowboys tents. And I swear I would have thought that was a home game for the Cowboys with how many Cowboys tents and tailgaters and fans that were out there. That was pretty impressive right there, man. It's it may be Carolina, but that's Cowboys Nation right there.
It was they had the tent you're talking about. We walked by it, and they have a Carolina Cowboys fan club. Maybe Kelly, you and I need to go search each city's fan club, and maybe that's where we need to make sure that's a tailgate thing, and that's maybe we'll network within that, because they had this thing. We got out there at maybe 7:40, 8 o'clock, and there was nowhere to park. We ended up parking just the street down. I mean, it was a great spot for us, so we were good, but I couldn't believe how early people were out there. Now, you remember we did everything with the Cowboys cave tailgate. You're parking within the stadium. They don't let you in. These guys, I talked to some of them. They were there at 5 a.m. setting everything up, cooking, getting everything going, and had a great time. And quick shout out to Doug and his family. Again, had a wonderful time. The only thing I'll say about Doug, I'm going to say this, it was thankfully we were in a friendly grounds of Carolina that was Cowboy fans, because Doug, he walks a hell of a lot faster than I do. We're going out of the stadium. He's scooting, through the line. I get kind of go with the herd, and the herd took me outside the stadium on the wrong side, and they don't let you back in. And there wasn't an easy way around. So I had to walk all the way around the stadium through a neighborhood, through streets. And thank God I had my phone. And I always take a picture of where I park. And I took a picture of the street corner. And I walked all the way back. And I'm like, how long is it going to take Doug to call to make sure I'm safe? Number one. And it was about maybe 5 minutes before I got there to where I needed to go. My phone rang. He's like, hey, man, where are you? You all right? I was like, dude. I had to walk all the way here, but it was all good. It was good. I got my exercise in, but what I was going to say is there was all Cowboy fans. So I was sitting there walking by myself. If I was in Philadelphia, if I was in Washington, I was in Oakland, when they had a team. I don't know if I would be here today talking to you guys.
Especially Philadelphia.
Yeah, you might have been in trouble, man. Might have been in trouble. You're gonna have to get Doug to slow down and not speed walk next time.
I was like, man, you got to take care of me, man. You're my chaperone, man. You're making sure I'm getting going. So
that walk back to the car from Jacksonville after the Jacksonville game felt like the longest walk to the car ever.
Yeah.
And it just hurt because we lost.
That
was the worst one.
That's the other thing too, Kelly. We were talking about it, is when you go to these road games, even home games are bad, but the road games, you can't lose the road games. The walk of shame out of the stadium when you lose is probably one of the worst feelings that you could have.
Oh yeah, and I'm aware, man. I've been there.
Yeah,
I've been to a few, man. Especially not really any. So I haven't actually went to a road playoff or road NFL game, I should say. I went to a road NFL game, but I've gone to several for college football for Texas Tech. I've been to several of those, and yeah, they do suck when you're walking out of the stadium and you got beat, especially if you got beat bad or just any loss period, man. They really let you have it, and there's really not a whole lot you can say at that point because the game is over. Their team won, so there's not can't say anything about it. It was suck it up and take it.
Yeah, no, there's none. And hey, just one last reminder. If you just popped in, we're doing our giveaway. All you got to do is type enter in the comments section. We're getting this thing filled up, so it's gonna be good. We're gonna give it away right about 9:25. So I just keep popping this out because I see people coming into the chat. So I appreciate it. You guys jumping in. Make sure you all you got to do is type enter. I'll write your name in. We're going to give it away live, and one of you guys will be taking a great cut home. And then, like I said, we've got a 5,000 subscriber giveaway, and I've said it before. And Kelly, when this happened, it changed the date that this giveaway could have happened if we ever met it. But
and the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys? Yeah!
When we got that news and my son texted me and I said, bullshit, that ain't happening. And then he sent me the picture and I still wasn't sure. And then my brother texted me, all these people are texting me. I went ahead and I said, you know what? It's true. And the right thing has been done. So the first thing I did was, because I told you I was selling the Lions tickets. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to go. If they sell, they sell. If not, I'll end up going. And I pulled those things off. I already booked the flight. There is no way in hell I'm going to miss this one. So I'll be heading down there. But the long story short, and I want to get your comment, and then Mikey, your comment as well. We are doing a 5,000 subscribers. So that's like, man, that's a lot, right? You got to get 3 more subscribers. But what do you get? You're talking about getting club seats. You get 2 of them. Now you have a choice. You can take me. You can take Kelly. Mikey's over 18 now. If you want to take him, have at it. But you can take one of us, or you can say, screw you guys. I want to take my wife. I want to take my husband. I want to take a buddy, whatever you guys do. As soon as we hit the 5,000, you're going to get 2 club seats. And what happens in the club seat? Well, I was there last week. I was up in the club talking to George Teague. Walk by. Des Bryant comes by to see us. It says, what's up? So you're mingling with the elite of Cowboys. So it's a great opportunity, but there's got to be a price for it, Kelly. We can't give that away just for nothing. 5,000 subscribers. That seem fair?
5,000 seems fair, man. We gotta start pushing this thing out, man. Start letting these people know. We'll have to do another promotional tweet to get some more subscribers. I'm sure once we start dangling some Cowboys tickets, that seems to be the carrot to dangle right there.
Yeah, so it'll be next season. So going back to Jimmy Johnson, Kelly, I mean, what you saw, see, that's a crappy thing when you're there. You probably saw it just happening right before your very eyes. Did you get a sense of it? Did you get a feeling? Because I guess there was some videos of them on the field. Did you get any sense that maybe something was going to happen?
Yeah, so I had tweeted. I just tweeted kind of my morning. Take a little picture usually with my jersey on. Like, all right, let's get this. And I saw somebody tagged me in a deal that said Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones on the field at Carolina. And then it said, Jerry just made an announcement that he has a press conference set for 20 minutes before the game. And as soon as they said that, I knew what it was. I'm like, Jimmy's going in. I was like, he's getting in today, or they're going to make the announcement he's going in. And I knew it. So I'm like, all right, I'm headed to the Cowboys thing to go watch, but I don't want to miss this. So I've got my phone on Fox TV while I'm driving. And, man, I not to be an overly emotional guy, man, but when they start talking, these guys are talking, and I could tell, man, what was about to happen. And I started getting a little bit emotional, man. And then when he said it, I had to pull over real quick, and I watched the rest of it. And then obviously I went and kind of did a video, man. The eyes were all teared up, and, getting all red and shit on me. But I mean, I got choked up, man, because I really do, as a Cowboys fan, and not just a fan, but I can, a fanatic, you know what I mean? Because that's what we are, a fanatic, fan short for fanatic. I got so much invested, not only in this team, but just emotionally in some of these guys. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, man, Jimmy Johnson is like, if this makes sense, it's kind of like the grandpa, figure or whatever. He's like the originator of, at least for me, when I came into it, because that's what I came into it was in the 90s. So, I mean, I've watched this dude on Fox NFL Sunday, and, I watched him win the Super Bowls and all this. And I got this emotional connection, man. So, I mean, I was so happy for him, man, that I had tears of joy, man, and just overwhelming emotion bubbling out. I'm sure every single Cowboys fan that grew up watching those 90s and how special those teams and coaches and players are to them personally. I remember crying at the Emmitt Smith retirement when he announced his retirement. I remember shedding some tears for that, man. So I was super pumped up, man, very emotional. And it was just an amazing thing to see, and just to watch Cowboys Nation just kind of collectively rejoice on Twitter and social media in general, man. So big moment for the Cowboys. And, man, I'm excited that you guys will get to, you'll get to be there for that game, because I mean, that's going to be a big moment. Yeah. Big moment for the Dallas Cowboys franchise, a big moment for Jimmy. So I'm super happy for him. He deserves it.
Yeah, it was good. Mikey, you were obviously, you weren't born yet, which is going to be interesting when we get into some rivalries, because I always say it's a generational thing, but I mean, Jimmy Johnson, you were there for the Miami Hurricane. He went in the Ring of Honor for the Miami Hurricanes. Jimmy Johnson was on the show today, and he was talking about, he heard, they said, when was the moment? And he said, when I announced DeMarcus Ware going to the Ring of Honor, and I saw what Cowboys Nation he wasn't expecting that. And it wasn't anything. Nobody was against DeMarcus Ware being put in. I mean, he's a Cowboy legend, and he deserves it, Hall of Famer. But it's like, hey, come on now. I mean, we love DeMarcus Ware, but I mean, Jimmy Johnson, 2 Super Bowl championships brought to the team, brought respectability back to the organization. I mean, I remember the 3 and 13 years. I remember how the team was just heading south. It's like, is it personal? Is it not? And when you hear Jerry Jones talk, it just doesn't seem like it is. So I don't know. And even with Jimmy, I don't know if we read too much into it. But so I don't know. But Mikey, give your thoughts on it, because I want to share something special too. But go ahead.
Honestly, when I was watching, because I turned on the TV at 12:30, so it kind of caught me off guard. I was getting ready, and I'm making sure my fantasy lineup is good, and I look up and I see Jimmy and Jerry walking on the field. So I'm like, this, today has to be the day, I feel like, but it would be weird for it to be to him to announce it on the road, like not at AT&T. So I was like, maybe they're preparing maybe next week or this Thanksgiving game or something. So, and then when he announced it, I'm like, finally. First, I was like, finally, he should have got in like a long time ago.
Yep.
Because, he's Jimmy Johnson.
Even these kids know. And the funny thing is it's a good point Mikey made, is why do it on the road? And we were at the home game, last week, and he said that because they were doing the Medal of Honor ceremonies, and I was there, the military, they had all things decked out. There was a lot of stuff going on with that. He didn't want to take away from that. So that's what he ended up doing. But this is Jimmy Johnson, to me, and I will share that. That's Redskins. So that is the ticket stub. Very hard to find, but your boy always finds something. That is a ticket stub from Jimmy Johnson's first win as a Dallas Cowboy at the old RFK Stadium. The ticket price, $25. So
wow,
yeah, far cry from the ticket price of our 5,000 subscriber tickets that they'll be getting.
Yeah, you can't even get a hamburger for $25 in AT&T Stadium.
No. So it's a great. I'm telling you, for me, it's like what Kelly said. Our generation, to see him get in again brings tears to my eyes. I was there when Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, and Troy Aikman. That was something I had to be at, and I was. I missed the Hall of Fame inductions. That's one thing that I look back in time as one of my regrets in life. I didn't see not one of them get in. I've never seen a Cowboy inducted, and it's like, man, I need to go. And now it's kind of like that generation of Super Bowl guys. Except if Darren Woodson gets in, I'm just going to have to bite the bullet because I got to see someone from the Super Bowl era get in, and he might be the last opportunity unless something happens, down the road. So one last day. This is my last call because I see that the numbers have gone up. If you have not entered, type enter to win the prize, the custom cut. We're going to give you 2 minutes, and a 2-minute clock is on. So make sure you guys do that. And then we are going to get in to some Cowboys football, what we really want to be talking about. But this is our opportunity to give back. So this popcorn, this official Cowboys popcorn bucket is getting full. But make sure you guys do that. So, but, again, with Jimmy Johnson. So when you saw that, Kelly, did it make you feel that maybe the ego, maybe the animosity, maybe something was there, or do you think that was for show? I mean, because they seem so genuine whenever they're talking together, it just seems very genuine.
Yeah, I think that I think that there's something there. Jerry Jones talked about it, and he said they had beautiful scars. Whatever the hell that means. But he talked about that, and I think what he was meaning honestly was that there has been, he admitted that there had been some disagreements, there had been some things that kind of went sideways with the two of them, but that it was always business, that it was never really anything personal, that they still maintained a relationship because those guys, this not the first time they've got together, it's not the first time they've talked, or it's not like they've been like estranged or anything like that. Jimmy's been a guy that Jerry's talked about fondly. Jerry knows what Jimmy brought to the table, and I think Jimmy is thankful for the opportunities that Jerry gave him. So I don't think that there was really ever a time, except for if you go back to maybe the 90s when it was all happening, there might have been a little bit of animosity there. But I don't think it was ever one of those things where it was like the bridge is burned and there's no coming back from it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was anything like that. I think it was just where it was two good friends that got into this thing together. They made something great happen, and then it kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
And I think there was a little bitterness on both of their sides, to be honest with you. And sometimes that can push people apart, but I think at the end of the day, you can look back at it after all those years and realize, hey, we built something very special. And I think that's the point where they're at right now in their lives, is they both realize, hey, we built something special. And I think Jerry has heard Cowboys Nation.
Oh, I believe it.
Up, that he knows. He knows how we felt about it, and how, upset that Cowboys fans were that Jimmy was not in this thing. And, And maybe, just maybe, he started buying into the whole thing about, hey, man, I got to get this done so I can get this monkey off my back. Maybe we can win another Super Bowl.
Yeah. Wouldn't it
Oh,
be
yeah.
amazing if they won this year after that? I mean, that would just
Talk about
every thought that people had with curses,
yes.
things like that. I mean, how could you not? Now, I'll go on record, and the one thing I'm really upset about, and I don't know if it was Mikey or my brother or Uncle Cheech or someone said when we were out there at that live remote and Jerry Jones called in, we talked about Jimmy Johnson, and I looked back to find it, but there was audio issues and it didn't come out clean. So I was hoping we could have that clip, but unfortunately we didn't. But this is closed. We're going to get this bad boy going because we got some Cowboys, Washington. I always want to say Redskins, but that's why I always use Washington. I don't like Commanders. I don't know if you guys like it. But
I always say Redskins, man. I just I can't not say it, man. You know, and I don't think anybody in here is going to get offended by me saying Redskins. So it's the Redskins, whatever you want to call them. If you want to call them Commanders, call them Commanders. I call them Redskins.
All right, well, here it is, Kelly. This is it. I want everyone to say I'm shuffling my hands around. We got one lucky winner. Now, the winner could be on here. He could be in the Twitter thing. I tried to put the ats on the Twitter just to make sure we got it. So let's get it going here. And I'm going to grab this one. This is it. This is the winner. This is the winner. And I'm going to hold it up that way. There's no looking crazy.
Oh, shit.
I don't want anyone thinking I did anything, but I think he's here, which I'm happy for.
He's in the
I
chat.
like people who are here.
Yeah.
But you are the winner of the custom cut. You have your choice.
Congratulations.
You could put it in here, or I know you know Cuts by Jones. You can DM him on Twitter. But you have your choice of one of these two cuts, and he will get it shipped out to you to put in your Cowboys cave, put in your best spot. If you want, meet us there. Maybe Kelly and I will autograph it for you. No, I'm just kidding. We'd want that. but no, we'll have a lot of fun with it. But definitely, congratulations. Hopefully, he's still here. But I hadn't seen him chiming in yet. He's probably running through the streets right now, thinking about what he's got. I mean, there's nothing better than a cuss. And if you didn't win one, you can order one. And we've had so many people. I've talked to Eddie out at the Charlotte game, and he got this beautiful cut. He did it for his, I think it was his beach home or a second home or a rental VRBO is something he did it for. I can't remember, but it wasn't even a Cowboys thing. It was just something that was different. So he could do cuts of anything. It doesn't have to be sports. We prefer it to be Cowboys, selfishly, right, Kelly and Mikey? I mean, is that what we want?
So. Yeah, man. And there's the winner right there.
All right.
There
you go.
Excited about this.
I knew he was doing laps.
Right,
he was doing laps around the house. It's understandable.
Doing laps around the house. Congratulations, though, to our guy, man. Is a loyal subscriber and a loyal fan. I see him in the chat all the time.
All the time.
Good win there, guys. And for the rest of you guys that didn't win, you're all winners in our book.
Absolutely.
You're all winners in our book. So
Yeah, it was the Airbnb Fred did it for. Thank you, Fred. See, I knew that's why I love these guys. They make sure they keep me on my toes. Fred, do you have a website? That's what I don't know. If you do, put it in the chat. I know he's big on Facebook and he's doing obviously on Twitter and things like that. But Fred, if you've got a website, put it in the chat so they know how to get a hold of you. Some people I've met, I'll tell you a quick story and let's just get on to the game. So I was at the tailgate and, Kelly, you've met me. Mikey, you know me. I'm very quiet. I'm not as wild and rambunctious as you see in the videos. I get hyped up. I do get excited when you get Cowboys, but for the most part, I'm pretty chill. So we're there for like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And again, we're going to go in the game. And I say, hey, man, let's just do a pregame hype video. Everyone's here. Let's just do it. Have some fun. And so we record it. And now there was people tailgating next to us. There was 3 guys. And we were talking with them the whole time. I was sitting there talking to them. They had the TV. We're going back and forth the whole time. I do the video. And he comes up to me and goes, Man, I thought it was you, but I just wasn't sure. But I follow you on TikTok. He doesn't have Twitter, but I was sitting there talking to him for 2 hours, and he kind of knew, but he didn't know who I was until I did the video, and then it all came out. So it was, I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was cool. It was such a good time. It was such a good time. And Carolina, we're at Carolina and at Atlanta, so we got some good road games. Kelly, you said you haven't felt the road love from Cowboys Nation. I suggest that maybe we work up something to get you to one of those.
Yeah, well, definitely. It's definitely on my list to do, man. I've been wanting to do it for years, but it's funny because I've got a lot of these Cowboys fans that are in Texas and stuff. So I was like, man, I just got to make some connections on some people that will actually want to travel to road games, because everybody else is like, nah, I just want to. I'll go to the game in AT&T. I'm like, man, I want to go on the road and I want to travel. I'm going to be honest with you. I know a lot of people will say I'm crazy, and hopefully I could get a good group, but I still want to go to Philly, man. And I know my face in Philadelphia probably will be some trouble. But listen, I know how to keep myself out of trouble. I've been out of worse, but I want to go to a Philadelphia game, man. But it's on my list of things to do is to go to Philly. I know several Dallas fans that have been and have said they've had zero problems. They say, yeah, you're going to get heckled and stuff, but they say, try not to sit in the upper section. They said the higher you get in the stands, the worse it's going to be for a visitor. So you want to get some tickets that are fairly good, but I do want to go to a Philly road game.
No, Mikey, would you go to Philly? Do you have any interest?
Not no more. After the draft we went to.
Yeah.
Jersey, that's the last time.
Well, I did not wear a jersey at Philly. We went to the draft. Mikey was about 12 years old, and he wanted to wear his Dez jersey, and he got on TV a couple times with his Dez jersey. We had a good time, and we're walking, and it was just him and I kind of walking down the street, going back to the hotel, and a grown man in a car called him a mother effer, and I mean a 12-year-old kid. So at that point, I was like, you know what? There's probably a lot of good people in Philadelphia, and I have great friends who are Eagle fans. I just have a hard time spending any of my money in that dump. Just personally, it's just a personal thing for me, because it's just the way they kind of glorify themselves as being assholes. It's just very hard for me to say, you know what? Yeah. I'm going to drop $500 on a ticket. I'm going to have to pay another $500 for hotels, and you end up dropping. Road games can get expensive, but if we go in a pack, I'll go. Hey, I'm always down.
I just know that it's funny because I get Philly fans saying all the time, you wouldn't last 5 seconds. You come to the link and all that. I'm like, you know what? I am not scared to go anywhere because, first of all, one, I'm not getting murdered. I know that. Not getting murdered at a football game, but obviously you don't ever want to sit there and promote or be like, hey, I want violence. When I go to a football game, I want to have a good time, do a little smack talk. But here's the thing, man. I'm 42, about to be 43 years old. I've been in plenty of scuffles. I'm not scared of getting in a scuffle. I don't look for it. I don't want it. But these Philly fans that sit there and bark and talk about how tough they are, like you try to intimidate people in a big, large group. When it's one-on-one, you guys are like, it's the same, nobody's sitting there trying to bully anybody. So you ain't bullies. You ain't the bullies you think you are, even though you talk a lot of tough stuff on my Twitter page. But I don't sink to that level because we got a show here. We got bigger and better things we're trying to promote. But I don't know if you've seen it lately, but I've been stirring the pot.
Oh, you're bad. You're bad, but Mikey and I, we've been to the Cowboy games and the Eagle Cowboy games. We're going December 10th, and I mean, Mikey and I have sat and talked to them before. They're different. They're different when they're out of the element. When out of the the surround. I sat and talked to an Eagle, and we just chatted for like 30 minutes, just sitting there, a group of us, and they're cordial, nice, and everything else. So I know it's a few. Jerks, right, Mikey? I mean,
it really is.
There's always, because Eagles, I mean, that's every Philly team, though. Like, they all think they're the big bad wolf, or like they think they're the big dogs, but they're not.
Yeah. So then when they get beat up, it's good.
That's what made that loss so hard when the Chiefs lost to them, because I hate the Eagles.
No.
I hate when they get the lucky wins.
I know, and it's funny because I catch myself. There's a handful of Eagles fans that I follow on Twitter that follow me back and that are actually they're actually cool. And it's so it's not all of them. There's several of them that I talk with and they're like, man, I respect that the passion and this and we may disagree and there's times we kind of go back and forth, but it's a respectful thing. It's the ones that come on there and immediately come in with an insult, it's just like, all right, I know what you're looking for, but I'm not going to give it to you. Some of them I do, but
no.
But it's just fun thing, man. Sports is fun, man. Having the back and forth and the banter and all that stuff. That's fun. It's when people try to take it into real life and try to get physical and violent and stuff like that. There's no that just doesn't belong in sports.
No, and that's unfortunately the part of it that they just make it, they just don't make it good. But like I said, when I go to game, I'm not one of those guys, man. I'm past that crap.
Absolutely.
I'm not doing any of that garbage, but I was trying to find something real quick, but we're going to get into it. But beforehand, we talked about the Eagles. They won. You can't take it. They just have a resiliency. They didn't play well, but they just find a way to win. And there's something to be said for that. There's something you got to give credit for. They don't scare me in any way, but they just seem to find a way to win. It's kind of like someone tweeted, I think it was Steve, about the Vikings. Kind of like the Vikings last year. All these one score, just find a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because my friend was texting me and he was like, I don't know. I just have a feeling the Eagles will win. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, the Chiefs are up 10 and Jalen Hurts doesn't look like the Jalen Hurts I'm used to seeing. So then Jalen Hurts ran for a touchdown. So I'm like, oh my. And then Travis Kelce fumbled. I don't know what's wrong with him this season. It's got to be terrible. Must be a distraction or something. So, and then they won. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And that Marvis Scantling, I don't know, like Valdez Scantling. I mean, he was wide open. I just don't know how you drop that. And it happened with the Chargers too, with Quentin Johnston.
Yeah.
Wide open, dropped it.
Yeah, that's the thing is that after the game was over, I said, hey, you know what? I can't take anything away from them. Their record is what it is. They're 9-1. They've been winning these close games and finding ways to win them. I said, but Philadelphia's got a horseshoe up their ass right now because they're getting every bounce. They're getting every call. They've had so many things luck-wise go their way. And I know people are like, that's BS. It is. I mean, if you watch these games, and I haven't watched every Philly game, but the primetime ones when they're on TV are the ones that I've watched. And every one that I've seen, they have had some, including the one we played in. I mean, the fact that fumble on the 10-yard line bounces right back into the running backs, that's luck. I mean, the fact that you've got a wide open, Scantling coming down there and just perfectly placed ball and he drops it. I mean, or Travis Kelce, a guy that typically doesn't turn the ball over, but I mean, he gets it punched out on the 10-yard line. Those kind of things are the things they're going Philly's way, and you just have to wonder how much longer can that happen? You know what I mean? Because eventually your luck runs out and you don't get the fumble that goes your way, or you don't get the call that goes your way. And I think I really eventually think that's coming, because if Philly and Dallas played in the playoffs and they were to play tomorrow, I really am not nervous. And I know there's a lot of Philly fans that would take offense to that and say, yeah, we're 9-1 and you're 7, but I'm not nervous because I've seen us play against them, and I've seen what we can do against them. And I thought that we should have won that game. I thought the bounces went their way. If the bounces go our way, we win that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not scared of them.
No, I've said it. I just have zero worry. I think we're gonna win that game going away. And that's just my opinion. That people can call me crazy, call me that. I just think we're gonna slice them up. I think it's unbelievable. I know we're getting on a tangent. We've got to talk Washington, so I apologize. I think it's just unbelievable that the Chiefs organization has put those receivers for Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that's what they could do for him. I mean, it's just, you could have drafted maybe, better, or picked up. I mean, what's his name was begging to get out somewhere like Hopkins, or you could have. I mean, just
Well,
God, I feel bad
when you
for
look
him,
at the
man.
receiver, when
He
you
went a fourth down when he put right at the guy and it went through his hands.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think it's because I mean the Chiefs have like, in my opinion, I mean they have some solid receivers.
Get
like
the hell out of
but, like,
here!
Let me. Can I?
They
Can I
couldn't
talk?
start on
Can I talk?
any other team.
Can I talk?
Go ahead.
Listen, I mean they don't use Kadarius Toney. I mean,
Oh, my
you gotta listen. Kadarius Toney is a run after a catch receiver. If you really watch
if he
him,
catches a ball,
well, that's a problem too. But I mean, if you give him the ball, he might make some plays. Even
You know, what I'll say about that is that, you know, with Patrick Mahomes, I mean, they won a Super Bowl last year with less than stellar wide receivers. So like, I feel like if you're a good wide receiver, Mahomes is going to find you, and he's going to, like, if you put a Devontae Adams on the Chiefs, or Justin Jefferson, or a CeeDee Lamb, I mean, that'd be my Super Bowl favorite right now. I'd take the Chiefs over anybody because of the fact that Chiefs defense is sneaky good. I mean, they were all over Hurts last night. And I mean, Jones was whooping the hell out of Kelsey. I mean, he's making Kelsey look like he should, second guessing on whether he should have come back for a second year because he's whooping his ass on the line. And like, Patrick Mahomes is just on another level of any other quarterback. So, I mean, if you gave him a legit number one, which is why I was just kind of curious, or not curious, but scratching my head that the Chiefs front office didn't make a trade for a wide receiver at the trade deadline. I'm like, what are they doing here? They think that Mahomes is going to, because if you look at the receptions, I mean, outside of Kelsey, if you can take Kelsey away, which is easier said than done, but if you take him away, man, there's just not a lot of punch there, man. There's just not a lot there. And I just feel like that the Chiefs they drafted that Rashee Rice, which he's not bad. He may develop into something, but man, they could have traded up just a few spots. And there were several guys that are in that lower end first of the round that they could have drafted. What is it? I think Addison with from Minnesota. I mean, there was Zay Flowers. There were several guys that they could have got on that lower end of the draft that if they really wanted to get a wide receiver from Mahomes, they could have done that, and they didn't. And that's kind of coming back to bite them in the ass, and they're seeing, that offense kind of stalling, stalling out a little bit. But again, just it's one of those things. But I know we've definitely given the Eagles more time than any one of us wanted to. It's time to get out of them damn Commanders.
Let's get into it, and we're gonna touch on some other stuff. So here we go, guys. Washington coming into town. I looked at it. They just got a beating by the Giants. I mean, Danny DeVito lit them up. I mean, that's got to make you wonder. They're 4-7. I was going through. They're actually 3-3 on the road. They're a 500 team on the road with wins against New England, a win against Denver, a win against Atlanta on the road. They beat Arizona. They got swept by the Giants, swept by Philly. I mean, Sam Howell, 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Running game's okay. Receivers, McLaurin, obviously. Diggs always shut him out. We're not going to have Diggs in this one. You got Dotson, you got Crowder, you got Logan Thomas. I mean, they got rid of Sweat, and they got rid of Young. I mean, I'll start with you, Kelly. First impressions of this game and this team. What do we got to worry about?
Well, if the Cowboys play like how they have played over the past, 4 weeks, was it been 4 weeks, maybe 5? If they play like they have been, then I don't think they have to worry about anything, to be honest with you. I think this game may be a little bit more competitive than obviously like the Giants game, say that, the Giants game. But I think it could be more like, I think it could be more like the Panthers game where it's a little closer. I mean, that still was a blowout. But I'm just not really – Washington doesn't scare me. I'm not really scared of them, and I think we should beat them. And I don't want to sound overconfident and look ahead, but, I mean, I'm just not really – none of the games make me nervous until we start getting towards that back end of the schedule. But I just don't look at Washington as a threat, especially after seeing what the Giants did to them. That gave me all the I saw that and I'm like, well, there goes that. And maybe Washington comes in pissed off. They're, they're embarrassed. But I mean, I honestly think they're just flying to Dallas so they can get a hot shower.
that stadium is terrible.
Yeah. So Mikey, you're the younger generation. I'll be honest, I'm not up to some of these newer players sometimes. Is there a diamond in the rough that we're missing? Is there something that we got to keep our eye on with this Washington team?
Well, I'll say this, because I mean, Sam Howell is, like, call it how it is. He is top 5 in passing yards. I think he is. He was.
He's over 3,000. That's a lot of yards.
So
yeah.
Personally, I'm not worried about the Commanders because, to be honest, I don't even think they're all rivals no more. Because when I was
we'll get into that later.
Right.
Is there any player that we got to worry about?
Terry McLaurin is definitely one. You got to worry about Terry McLaurin.
Okay.
I wouldn't sleep on Jahan
Scary
Dotson.
Terry.
I would not sleep on Jahan Dotson. I wouldn't. Their run game does not scare me. They don't have a running back. I'm not worried about them. I mean, Brian Robinson's going to get – he's like a receiving back. He'll get like a couple catches, but I'm not worried about him, to be honest.
So we have nothing to worry about. I think we all agree that, but there's something always makes it a little crazy sometimes with Washington. I mean, we saw the game last year didn't we have something to play for, I think, or no, or I don't know. They said they were going in there to play for something, but they didn't.
I don't think we did. No, I don't. I think the spots were locked regardless at that point.
It was a lip service they gave us.
Yeah, I don't think there was really anything to play for. I don't. If I remember right, I think our seed was locked in regardless. I just think that Mike McCarthy said before the game, I remember him saying, "Hey, we're going in there and we're playing to win. We're not resting anybody." And then we just got our asses. We got smacked in the mouth. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't really have anything to play for and you're just playing for the sake of, hey, we're going to have we want to have momentum and carry the momentum. I don't think anybody on that Cowboys roster really gave a damn about that game. Yeah. I mean, because why? If somebody tells you, hey, this doesn't matter, I'm gonna give you a test. The result doesn't matter. I mean, why do you think I'm going to try? Yeah. I mean, there was really no incentive in that game. So, yeah, Washington smacked us around. But, I mean, look what they did. Next week they bounced back, and in Tampa they went into Tampa and, and smacked the Bucs around. So, I don't think that I don't think they got anything for us. The teams that scare me are the teams that are able to run the ball and that have a solid running game. I think that's what'll, again, not to move forward and not overlook Washington, but Washington's run game ain't that good. I think Seattle poses more of a threat with their run game with a guy like Kenneth Walker coming in there and running the ball well. That poses more of a threat. But I mean, they've got those weapons with Dotson and McLaurin, but we got our weapons when it comes to Gilmore and Bland. And those dudes are playing really well right now. Bland needs one more pick six to break the record, and I think that's happening. I think that's happening.
Yeah.
Even like the Commanders cornerbacks. I mean, they don't scare me one bit. I know they have Emmanuel Forbes or whatever, but he's not guarding CD. And I know CD has an ankle injury, but I still don't think he can. He's not guarding CD. I don't care.
Right.
And CD came out and said he's fine. He's playing.
Well,
and we'll see. This is a kind of a funky.
I just don't want it to linger.
That's why I said this is a kind of a funky one, because typically Thanksgiving you have your long stretch, and now they've been doing this the last couple of years where they're playing a Thursday and a Thursday, so they don't get their long stretch until they get Philly, right? And they from that stretch in between Seattle and the Philly game. So you definitely want to be careful in this game. The interesting thing is Dak has sat what equates to a full game so far. So I think this is just one of those games, and just get your thoughts and again with Kelly and then Mikey jump in. The one thing I see with the Cowboys, it frustrates me is the starts. And you saw it in Carolina where it's just like it just I don't know. I know we have scripted plays or whatever it is, but it just seems like we always – that's why I never want the ball first. Doug and I were arguing about it. He wants the ball every time. I'm like, I don't want the ball because it seems like we always screw it up. And it's just like, to me, it's a wasted possession. It seems like either we're amped up or whatever, but you got to see Cowboys get off to a better start. I mean, is that something that concerns you, Kelly, as you kind of – like you said, we're going to get into the meat of the schedule real fast, and you don't have time to putz around for a quarter before you get rolling.
Yeah, no, I think that having a fast start and starting off fast, I think is always key in any game. But I will say that this year, more than last year anyway, the Cowboys have been able to overcome some slow starts. They did it in that Chargers game. They did it in even the Eagles game. I know that ended up as a loss, but it was a slow start. Eagles got an early lead on us, and the team didn't crumble. And they've shown a few games where they've kind of had to battle through some adversities, and they didn't crumble. They've been able to bounce back. They've been able to just keep their composure, keep doing what they do, keep chipping at it, and eventually grind out that win. So yes, I think it is key to get a fast start, but I do think with this team, they're built they look a little bit different to me than in years past. At least this second half of the season, they look a little bit different. They look like a team that can battle through some adversity and that doesn't just hang their heads at the first sign of, like the Carolina game, let's just use that for example. That was the last game, when they start getting run on a little bit there, and you start, Jordan Lewis was kind of getting gashed a little bit in the passing game a little bit, and you start, Carolina was there. What was it? It's a 1-score game there for a little bit. So you're thinking, damn, are they going to tie this thing up? I feel like playing on the road and a noon game that this Cowboys team would have let that team last year. I think they probably would have let them hang around a little bit. I think it would have probably been a little bit closer of a game, but the Cowboys seem to put away the bad teams pretty easy. It's just, it's one of the things that they've done really well this year outside of the Cardinals game. Yeah. But, I think that they'll do that with the Commanders. I think they'll put them away. I think they will get off to a fast start. Now I was just looking at the stats, and this is embarrassing if you're a Commanders fan, but Danny DeVito, dude passed for 246 yards and 3 touchdowns. And
they don't have any receivers either, really.
No, and the Giants they're throwing to nobody out there, and I mean, it's Howell had 3 interceptions and 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. He's coming off a horrible game, so I'd be really shocked if he was able to put up numbers on this secondary. Yeah. I know he threw for 400 on Philly's secondary, but Philly's secondary is not good. Oh, yeah. They're not, man. That's their biggest weakness is their secondary. So I think that Sam Howell's going to come in. I think he's going to have some problems. I think the Cowboys defense is going to harass him all day long. I hope Micah Parsons, I know he said he wouldn't do it, but I hope he drinks another C4 and gets another 3 tackles.
I missed that too. So, looking at the Cowboys side and their offense, so I'll ask you, Mikey, and then Kelly jump in, is that the running game. So it's been a lot of talk. It's just Pollard and I don't think someone made a stupid comment, and I saw Dawn, Zeke's mom, she chirped in and said, looks like, Pollard's being like Zeke and he's got paid, so he's not running. Pollard's running hard. I mean, I've been to almost every game, and the ones I haven't been, I obviously see him on TV, like probably most of you guys. It ain't from a lack of effort. I just think he's not being used to what his strengths are, and it just continues to be frustrating. So, Mikey, we'll start with you, and then get Kelly's takes. I mean, what's your thoughts with the running game overall, and how can we get this thing going? Because you got to run, in crunch time when this schedule gets tougher. Running game is going to be critical.
Well, I always said when the trade deadline happened, I was like, okay, we got to get it back. Like either it's Leonard Fournette or I even said Najee Harris because I thought that was going to happen because he's a big back and I think he would be perfect for us. But I don't know. It just seems like Pollard's better outside. Like I feel like you can't run him up the middle. That's not who he is. Yeah. Even though I know his touchdown was up the middle, but I mean, that's not who he is. He's a guy you get outside. Let Rico get the dirty yards. Let him get up the middle and just let him get the 30 yards. I really do think we need to give Rico more carries.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like if you just bounce him in and out, I mean, I just think it would help the run game, and I think it would help Pollard out to save the legs.
And I want Kelly to jump in. It's just like with Pollard, you wear, it's like what Zeke did. I hate to go back to like a Zeke, but Zeke wore him down and Pollard just finished him off with his speed. And I think that's what I don't see it. So Kelly, I mean, are we crazy or is it?
No, I agree. I think that was, I couldn't agree more with what Mikey said. I mean, it's Pollard's just a different style of runner, and it's that thing we always talked about last year. We talked about Zeke being, Zeke's the thunder, Pollard's the lightning, and this year, for whatever reason, they wanted Pollard to be both the thunder and the lightning. And that's not who he is. He's not that guy. You know what I mean? There's not a whole lot of guys that in this league really that are that guy. It's okay to have different running styles. I mean, you've got a lot of teams, you see them do the dual back system. For whatever reason, the Cowboys have been way more stubborn on this than they were last year with using Zeke and Pollard. I felt last year it was like a perfect mixture of the two. Mm-hmm. This year, they're just like, handcuffing Dowdle, and it's like, give him his opportunities. He's shown that he can run the ball well. It's not like he's turning the ball over. He's not fumbling, a more than capable runner and a physical runner at that, hard to bring down, tough between the tackles. It's like, hey man, we need to even these carries out between these two backs. And I think good things will come out of it. And I do think the running game is starting to kind of progress a little bit and come along though. And you are seeing them kind of see what we've all been talking about in Rico Dowdle. But I mean, just in those handful of carries, it's been obvious to me for weeks that he needs more carries.
Yeah.
So I just, keep giving him the ball and hey, there's nothing wrong with it, man. Keep Pollard fresh for the playoff run. I mean, keep them both, have them both getting carries. I mean, it's not a bad thing, man. So, and I'd like to see them mix in a little bit more Hunter Lipke. I mean, we saw him get that one red zone touchdown. And then since that time, I mean, really nothing since then. So for whatever reason, they've just really, it really limited the runs that they've had on their running backs outside of Pollard.
Yeah. And I think the thing is what people, is not a knock on Pollard. And I don't think anyone thinks that. But some people get you're dark. It's just style. And I think it's what he's best at and what he's usually. He never was the main guy in college. He never was obviously here. And I'll go back to Felix Jones. You go back to these other running backs that shared loads. And when they became the man, their career kind of, they hit a wall and it just wasn't the same. And not to mention the season, you're talking 17 games, playoffs is another 3 games. If you go to the store, you're talking 21 games if my Broward County public education's right. That's a lot of football for a running back. Oh, yeah. And that's a lot of carries. You need 2 backs. Sometimes you could say you need 3 backs, but there's nothing wrong with it. And I don't know, if it's, he's making more money, so we got to make him, get all the carries and do everything. So anyway, we agree on that. Look at our receivers, Dak going against Washington. I mean, you talked about DeVito, Kelly. We'll start with you. I mean, he was a little conservative against Carolina. I mean, you got to think this is going to be a big day for the receiving core and Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I think so, man. That secondary of Washington. I mean, we just saw DeVito, basically carve them up. And I mean, if you compare DeVito and Dak Prescott on a scale, you wouldn't even be able to see how high Dak Prescott is above DeVito. So, I mean, it's just, I think Dak Prescott will have a good day. I love Thanksgiving games because a lot of times is when you see those like special performances, you know what I mean? Or memorable moments on Thanksgiving, whether it's, Zeke having the run and jumping into the Salvation Army kettle. Who's going to keep that tradition alive this year? I hope somebody does, because that's always something fun to watch. But I mean, you see special games and you see special performances by special players, right? And so in a game like this, you have to think CeeDee Lamb, prime time, Thanksgiving. I get the feeling he's going to have himself a really big game. One of those games where he's over 150 yards again. I just think he's going to have a monster game. But, I love, even though we didn't see a lot of it in Carolina, I have loved what I've seen from, them bringing Brandon Cooks along and them, getting him involved in this game.
Brandon Cooks was a leading receiver for, believe it or not, in that
game.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, he was. I mean, it didn't seem like we threw the ball a whole hell of a lot.
No, it was 189 yards.
We did not throw the ball a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like, that's I feel like the receivers are going to have a good day there against the Commanders, and I think CeeDee Lamb's going to have himself a hell of a day as well.
Mhm.
And Mikey, what do you think about Bland? Pick six, jump in the kettle?
Oh,
I
I love
think
that.
he should,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the record. I mean, I go back and forth with people. Oh, Bland's not a top 5 cornerback. I'm like, how can he not be top 5? They're like, oh, pick sixes. They're against bad quarterbacks. I'm like, all right, now we're just getting specific.
Man, bad quarterback or not, that pick against Bryce Young was absolutely phenomenal. The way he jumped that route and caught the ball falling down, coming to the ground, and was able to kind of roll up, bounce up, and then take off running and get it in the end zone. Man, I agree with. I don't know about you guys, but Trayvon Diggs put a tweet out that said Bland should be in the defensive MVP conversation. I think he should. I really do. With the way he's been playing, he's been one of the top rated corners all year. And then when you add in the pick sixes, he's on a tear right now.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, he had to replace Diggs. I mean, and he had to step in and do that. And you think about Dallas' season, say what you want. I mean, what are we, 7-3? I mean, we're poised for the playoff and hopefully get a good run. So, I mean, if we didn't have Bland, I mean, where would we be right now?
But I mean, even the future, next year we're gonna have a cornerback with Diggs, possibly Gilmore, and you get Bland. I mean, that is deadly.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, either one of you guys, have any problem bringing Gilmore back?
No,
I'd bring him back in a minute.
Absolutely. And I hope they do, man. I know Gilmore expressed earlier in the year when Diggs went down, he said he was really looking forward to having a year with Diggs. So I'm hoping he wants to run this thing back next year because he's played great, showed no signs of slowing down. And if you could have those three in your secondary, oh my goodness, that's just.
And then you still, they got the kid they drafted. You can develop him more, and you get another one. It'll be good. So I want to get to a fun part, but so before we get to it, we're going to talk rivalries. But before we get to it, I want our predictions. So throw your predictions in the chat. We got a special guest, Mikey, from the Fantasy Football Show, because he's usually on Tuesday. And I'm telling you guys, if you haven't checked out the Fantasy Football Show, it's not just fantasy football. They talk sports. They talk all NFL games and review, and it's a lot of fun. There's some crazy people. There's a guy Vince in there. He was the only one we didn't invite on this show because between Kelly and I, we might have, Kelly might have said, "Hey, Mike, give me the airline ticket down to Tampa. I'm going to have to take care of him personally. It'll be end to him." So anyway, they have a lot of fun. It's a lot of good dudes. But let's hear the predictions. We're going to start with our guest, Mikey, the guest picker. We call him Mikey Schefter because he always seems to break a lot of news around here. So what is your score for the game?
I honestly think we're going to just blow this team out. I think it's going to be like a 40-14 kind of game. Wow. I just think this is a game it's going to be one of them games where the defense gets picked. The offense is just cooking. You might get a Bland pick six, I just think it's going to be one of them games, CeeDee going to have a big game as usual, I hope, because I have Dak and CeeDee on my fantasy team have just won me leagues.
Yeah, no, and a lot of 40 burgers so far, so you got to blow out. Some people say Dak.
I just think it's going to be a blowout. I have a feeling.
All right, Dak's going to sit in the last quarter. I see some 38-10, 45, 42-9, 43-17. Kelly, what are you thinking?
I'm going 42-17. I'm right there with looking crazy. I think 42-17. I think the Cowboys are going to score a lot of points. I think the Commanders will score. I think it'll be 42-10, and then I think they'll score a garbage time touchdown in the end there. But yeah, 42-17, man. I think the Cowboys. There's not going to be a lot of resistance. I know it's a rivalry, and I know that Washington they definitely are going to want to beat us. They're going to want to beat us, but wanting and actually having the capability of doing it are two different things. And I think this Cowboys team's on another level as Washington, so just don't see them being able to keep that score close.
Yeah. I think they get a garbage touchdown in the end. I think it's going to be 37-20. I think Dallas is going to be handed, they'll be ahead handily. There won't be any issues. So I'm glad to see all of us think Dallas is going to win. That's a good sign. I don't have anyone in here. That means we have no trolls in here trying to bring us down a little bit. So There's one. See, I spoke too soon. When's Dallas going to beat a team over 500? When they're going to beat a team over 500 is December 10th when we whoop that ass, and you know it's coming, so don't even worry about it.
I don't know how they say that. When we beat the Jets when they were 1-0.
I know. They figured it. Listen, end of the day, I love that with the Eagles and love to them. Bobby's a good dude. He's always been in here, good guy. We got no issues with him. But we play the same teams. Dallas and Philly have the same exact schedule except 3 games. And I'll tell you, one of the games for both of us is a crappy ass NFC South team. So take that out of the mix. Now you guys played. Who did we play? What was the other team that we played in the Central? We got to play the Lions. They got to play the Vikings. I say we got a leg up on that one, right? That's tougher.
Yeah.
They played the Chiefs. We played the Chargers. We'll give them that. We played the same damn schedule, so it really don't much matter. We'll see what happens in the end.
Yeah. I love how everyone's saying that now.
I know. It's
when we beat the Jets when they were 1-0.
It's all the narrative everyone wants to do. Before the season, we had the hardest schedule in the NFL. That's all they talked about, and it'll all work itself out. So anyway, they know. Philly knows they're going to get their ass whooped. So more importantly, this leads us to something I wanted to get into. I posted a tweet and got a little bit of reaction. Got some people disagreeing, some people agreeing. The point of it was we always hear of rivalry. We're hearing about rivalry. Who's the biggest rival for the Cowboys historically? And I say when I look at the Cowboys' history, the whole history of the team, and I probably could have made a mistake in one, which I could take back. I had Steelers 1, Packers 2, Niners 3, Washington 4, Eagles 5. Now I'll say I probably undervalued Washington. The reason I had Washington lower than those other 3 teams was because the Washington, it's just with the Commanders and the football team, it's kind of lost a little bit about that anger when it was the Cowboys and the Redskins. So that's why I put them 4th. So start with Kelly. What is your order? Who would you have as top 5 rivals? And then we're going to get into each one and we're going to give our reasons why we pick them where they're at. And in the chat, we'd love to hear what your guys are as well.
So I didn't have a difference of when it came to the teams. For me, it was just the order of them. So number 1 on my list I have is the 49ers. And the reason I have the 49ers is not only because of the rivalries that they had in the 90s, meeting up with each other in NFC Championship games, but that rivalry has been renewed within the last 5 years. We played them in the regular season. We've played them in the playoffs. We've, last 3 times that we've met up with them, we've gotten beat. So that's a rivalry for me because, I kind of grew up with that rivalry. That was one of the big ones, was those 90s Cowboys going at it with the 90s with Jerry Rice and Cowboys, obviously we know the Cowboys from there, but Jerry Rice and Steve Young and that era of Niners, I hated them. And I hate this Niners group. I hate them. And I mean, obviously I despise and hate Philadelphia Eagles, but like when I look at the individual players on the Eagles, like I don't look at AJ Brown and think, man, I just hate that dude. I just hate him with a passion. But I look at Kittle, I hate him, dude. I hate that dude, man. I was like, I want somebody to light his ass up. I want to see it. Like, I don't wish injury on anybody, but I want to see him limping to the sideline, holding his ribs from a hit that somebody lays over him when he comes over the middle. And I see Debo Samuel, like he drives me. I can't stand those dudes. So for me, it's the Niners. Second, I'll go Green Bay. And the reason I'll go Green Bay is because, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, over his time with the Cowboys, what he did to them and what I saw and had to go through, what he did with us. Obviously, it's we've played them in the Super Bowl. What was it? The Ice Bowl way back when, way before my time. But that's a historic rivalry. that goes way back, and I've got, they've been a team that was a thorn in our side with Aaron Rodgers. Now he's gone, but I kind of wanted us to be able to give him the business when he was with the Jets. We didn't get a chance to do it at, maybe down the road if he doesn't retire. But then after Green Bay, then I'd go the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obvious reasons. I mean, the Steelers, Super Bowl, last Super Bowl we won was against the Steelers. There's a long rivalry going back there. Then after the Steelers, for me, then I've got the Redskins, and then I've got the Eagles at the 5 spot.
Yeah.
So those are my teams, and in that order. And obviously, like I said, hating somebody versus them being one of our top rivals, two different things.
That's what I wanted to definitely. Yeah. I want to get into, because I got a lot of that on Twitter. And they brought up Michael Irvin, and I hate him, and this and that. So I want to get into each team. But Mikey, you're a generation, so you've seen no Super Bowls. You haven't seen the history or anything that Kelly just talked about So when I ask a 19-year-old kid, who would you say the Cowboys' top 5 rivals are?
Well, at the 1 spot, I would go obviously Philly. When I look forward to when we play the Eagles. That's the game I look forward to. I look forward, it's a great rival. I used to love watching Dez just absolutely destroy that secondary when Malcolm Jenkins was talking smack to Dez, and he dropped like 100+ yards, 3 touchdowns in 1 half or something. And then at the 2 spot, I'll go Green Bay, just because that Dez catch hurt my soul. I was, and then 2016 just add on top of it with that 3rd and 20 play when Rodgers just launched it, and the dude Jared Cook just caught it. And then at 3, I'll probably say the Giants, because there was a point in time when I was growing up where we played the Giants consistently week 1 every time on Sunday night. And then, of course, the Odell catch. I mean, that's obviously legendary. But Romo and Eli, I mean, that was a good rival.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat it with Victor Cruz, obviously. And then the 4 spot, I would probably go the San Francisco 49ers recently, just because we played them twice, lost twice. And then we hate the Niners. Obviously, you go back to the 90s with the Super Bowls, and you told me stories about it.
That's all I got.
And then at the 5 spot, I'll probably go. See, I didn't see us play the Steelers a lot.
Yeah.
So I'll probably go Washington.
Okay. So, I mean, you see the difference in generations, and that's what I mean. A lot of it is how you feel. So one thing that Kelly, we're going to attack the Niners first, and I'll just throw out some numbers. 49ers, this is what I call a rivalry. 49ers lead the series 20-19-1. That's about as close as you're going to get as an even series. 5-4. Dallas is 5-4 against them in the playoffs. The interesting thing here, and I forgot about it, I knew the 90s, but in the 70s, Dallas has played the 49ers more in NFC championship games than any other team. They're 4-2. 4 out of their 5 Super Bowls to get to the Super Bowl, they had to go through the 49ers. To me, when I look at those kind of things, that's rivalry. That is, it transcends time. Whenever you see the Cowboys play the 49ers, it's always a big game. I don't care if both teams stink. It's one of those games where the NFL, all the eyes are on it. I'm looking at a picture now in the 70s. You see the 49er helmet and the Cowboy helmet coming together. So I would say, what did you have the 49ers? 1.
Me?
Yeah.
I had them at 1.
I say, after I reviewed the tape, I'm going to say the 49ers. Kelly's 100% correct. I would say the 49ers are number 1. Any comment from you, Kelly, and then jump to Mikey on that? Anything to add?
No, I just, I think you're right. It's just the magnitude of the games that we've played against the Niners have just meant more than, and honestly, even as of late, even though it was, one in the, the first round, and then, last year in the divisional round, just because the last 2 rounds that we've met them in, they've kind of, we've thought, hey, we got a pretty good team. We've got a good chance here. And they've been the reason we haven't been able to get over that proverbial hump. You know what I mean? Because last year I really thought we had a chance at it, and they were the reason that stopped us. So it just feels like, for whatever reason, you know, and I'm one of those people that believes in, like, you know, kind of like destiny and the stars kind of aligning and things. So when I look at how we had to get past the Niners in the 90s, right? And now I feel like we're kind of like in that same thing right now. And it's like, I feel like there's no way we're getting over that hump without going through the Niners. I absolutely feel like we're probably going to play the Niners in the playoff again. And I'm hoping that, you know, history repeats itself and we get over the hump this year with this Niners team, because I think if they could beat the 49ers, the team that has had their number, I think if they were to be able to beat them, whether it be in the first round or second round, either or, I think this team would just steamroll through the rest of the playoffs, because I think that would be like that monkey off their back, just kind of like it was, you know, in the 90s. Like once they got that thing going, man, and they, you know, they got the Niners, you know, off their back, it was like there was no stopping that Cowboys team. And I feel like this team.
And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
That was it. That's what started it in the 90s. And the other thing is, to your point, Kelly, and then just get Mikey real quick on it, is the Niners had to get over the hump of finally beating Dallas, which, because we beat them in all those championship games. Then they beat us with the catch in 81 when we were beating them. And it was, you know, we obviously could have had that game. So that's why I say, is the more I looked at it, you're 1000% right. The 49ers, if you take everything together, that is our biggest rival historically. Yeah. It transcends generations and time. So you were 1000% right. I don't know if you guys disagree or agree in the chat, let us know. But Mikey, thoughts on the 49ers? Your more recent history with them, so it's not good.
Yeah, it's more recent with me because, I mean, obviously, I don't know what it is with the playoffs, but we just lose to the same teams all the time. Like, we lose to the Packers twice and now the 49ers twice, back to back. And so, like, the 49ers, like, obviously, even before the game, before the 49er game, they're beefing on the middle of the field. You got Debo trying to interrupt our kicker, and then Trent Williams. So, I mean, this 49ers team is good. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a dog walk by any means.
Yeah.
And Chase Young and Nick Bosa coming off the edges. I mean, that's scary. But I think you guys are right. Like I said, I didn't watch the Cowboys and Niners in the 90s, so you're probably right.
So who did you have too, Kelly?
I went with the Packers at 2.
Okay.
And I had
I've got to. I might be all right. Dallas versus Packers, 21-17, 4-4 record. We're tied in the playoffs. We had a lot of success. I always have to remind people, in the 90s, Dallas ended Green Bay's season every year. And even their Super Bowl year, we beat them in the regular season. I think at one point we were 7-0 against Brett Favre and the Packers. 21-17 record. Packers lead that. They have the edge on us. 1-2 in championship games. We obviously beat them in 95. They beat us in the Ice Bowl, which I think you mentioned the year before. So I would, again, if I look at the big picture of everything, Green Bay, again, is another team where I don't care where you're at. When you see those two teams, you see that game as a fan, I circle that on the calendars. That's a game I want to watch. So they're going to be number 2. One more reason I say the 49ers are number 1. They've got the meanest, nastiest fans on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter I've ever seen. So that's another reason they're number 1. So, Kelly, I'm looking at it again, and we're going to get to number 3, but I say kudos to you. Looking at it again, I think Green Bay's our second biggest rival in history. So what do you say?
Oh, man, we're lining this thing up.
You're the one who's been right. I've missed all of these so far. So. But any the Packers or anything to add?
Well, I was just going to say the fun thing about rivalries is that it, and especially with the Cowboys, is it seems like those rivalries kind of come and then they come back. You know what I mean? The Green Bay was, you know, a time of old, and then it kind of come back around again. It kind of comes full circle, and now you've got the Niners, and that's come full circle. And I mean, you know, it's fun to see these old school rivalries come back around, and rivalries are they're fun, man. It's what makes football fun.
Yeah,
it's having rivalries like that, because I mean, what's the fun in football if you don't have a rivalry? Which is why that, you know, the Eagles fans and the Giants fans and even the Commanders fans, they get upset when we diminish the rivalry between them. But the thing is, we whooped their ass so much that, like, I mean, literally with any one of those teams, any one of those
We're
teams.
gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that because that's our.
Okay, well, I just, we're not diminishing it. It's just like, hey, you know what? Catch up, man. We get it. You're tugging on Superman's cape over here. You want some attention.
Yeah. So, Mikey, you talked about with the Packers. I mean, obviously, Dez, right? I mean,
what I mean broke my heart. It broke my soul because I loved that 2014 team. I thought that was the year.
That was the year.
I really thought we could have beat Seattle and Seattle again, and then beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl because that team is so underrated. It's crazy with DeMarco Murray and Dez.
Well, and that's the other thing is look at Mark must have been sleeping. He came in with the score late, but the thing is when you see what makes a great rivalry is when there's moments where they rip your heart out in the biggest time. And you've talked about with the 49ers. We've been on the good end of it and we've been on the bad. The Packers, the good end of the bad. The third team, the third biggest rival in the history of the Cowboys is, who do you have, Kelly?
Pittsburgh.
And I would say Pittsburgh 3. People are going to say Kelly and Mike. And Mikey, you did. Well, Mike, you don't know. But Kelly and Mike, you're crazy. How the hell is this team? We play them once every 4 years, I heard. When you see a Steeler helmet and a Cowboys helmet, I don't think there's anything, number one, more iconic. You're talking about a team in the 70s. I think one of those were in the Super Bowl every single year almost for the most part. I think there was a couple years they weren't.
Yeah.
But for the most part, one of them was in there. They were always in the championship games. Cowboys 17-16. Are you guys starting to see a trend? When Kelly and I are saying biggest rivalries, listen to what we just said with the records. 17-16. We're 1-2 against them in the Super Bowls because the only time we can see them in the playoffs if we get the Super Bowls. The heartbreak loss in the second one with JT. The tight end who dropped it. I got him. I have a brain fart. So, but just heartbreak in all of the games. You had moments like Hollywood Henderson saying that Terry Bradshaw was so stupid he couldn't spell cat if he gave him the C and the T. I mean, we've had former Steelers, JT Thomas, on the show talking about the rivalry with the Cowboys. You've had former Cowboys. We've had Bob Lilly. You've had Charlie Waters. You talk about who their rivalry was. When you asked them, they said Steelers. They didn't say the Redskins actually were the second one that they said. But we go on in time. So Steelers. I think to your point again, I would say number 3 rival. Do you have anything else to add with the Steelers as far as because even think of the Zeke game that rookie year?
I was just gonna get to
that.
I
mean, I'll let you do the new stuff. But what do you think, Kelly? Anything else to add with the Steelers as far as how jacked up when you see the Steelers on your schedule?
I get pumped up, man. I mean, it's in that game with Zeke, that's the one that comes to mind. Obviously, the most recent game with Zeke had those 2 runs to seal the game and walk it off in the end with the Steelers. But in my opinion, that's also the 2 biggest fan bases too, man. I mean, if you think the terrible towels, flying throughout stadiums. I mean, and that's the other thing too, man. When we talk about these rivalries and you talk about these fan bases, these are some of the biggest fan bases, the most historic dynasties. They're dynasties as well, right? Niners got a dynasty. Steelers got a dynasty. Boys got a dynasty. Sensing the trend here as we get down towards the bottom end of some of our rivalries. These are dynasties that are going head to head and that have gone head to head and had battles and that people talk about and that you look back and you remember on throughout history, as well as some of the biggest fan bases, because, Steelers are a lot like the Cowboys in the sense that their fans, one, travel very well, and it's a very loyal fan base. So that's the Steelers as a franchise and an organization. I'll say I've always respected the Steelers a lot. Yeah. I don't feel that way really with the Niners, not really that way with Green Bay, but with the Steelers, I've always respected their owners group. I've thought the way that they treated their coaches and they've stuck by their whole
history.
Yeah, loyalty,
yeah.
Man. I mean, how long did they stick with their coaches? They don't move through coaches. They're like, hey, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through it. I respect that about them, and I respect their fan base as well. So yeah, number 3 on that list, Pittsburgh. Great team, great dynasty, great rivalries.
Yeah. So, Mikey, you're limited on Pittsburgh.
No,
So
yeah,
you didn't
'cause
have him in your top 5.
I've
But
only seen them play each other twice. I
Yeah.
mean, one was the 2016 game, which is with Zeke when he ran it in, and then the one was in 2020 when they were like undefeated, and then Dak wasn't even playing. I don't even know who we had. It was like some backup quarterback. CD was a rookie.
Yep, that was when he got hurt.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that might have been the Ben DiNucci game, wasn't it?
Oh God.
It was either Ben DiNucci or it was God, what was his name?
Did we had it was
I don't even think it was Ben DiNucci.
Yeah, I don't know. We forget it. We try and get that year out of our memory. So now we go to number 4. So number 4, I had Washington. Did you have Washington at number 4, Kelly? Did we agree on that one?
I think I actually had, yes. I believe that's what it said, was Washington.
Okay. So Washington.
Yeah, Washington and then Philly. Yep.
Washington, this one, it's just kind of tricky because when you think of Washington, Dallas, I think of, the hatred that the fans had for each other. They used to get in fights on the field. I remember as a kid watching Danny White fighting with, I think it was either Dexter Manley or Charles Mann, one of those guys. It was a hated rivalry. I think it was it Conrad Dobler who played with the Redskins? It was a different guy who played with the Redskins. I could see his face. He hated Roger Staubach, wanted to kill him. There was a hatred between these guys. Fallen off, I think, since the Redskins, the Commanders, the football team, whatever the hell they are. But if you look at history and you look at that rivalry, they've been in the playoffs. They've met the playoffs twice. Dallas has never beat them, surprisingly. But I'm surprised they only met twice. Dallas's record, though, 76-48 with 2 ties. So think of the top 3 and think of this one. How the hell are you gonna have how can you put this above it? But I mean, Washington, you had the what was his name? We had Crazy Ray, and they had the other guy, the mascots used to fight every game. So just a great rivalry. You'd love to see it get back. But so I'm gonna ask a flip question for you, Kelly, in the chat. Do you think this rivalry could ever be what it was with the name change, with kind of the, did the name kind of kill that rivalry for any chance to get better in the future? What's your thoughts?
It definitely did, but I mean, it can't really be renewed rivalry until they start being good again. That's the problem. So I mean, if one team is just on the downside and you're just beating the hell out of them every year, which I mean, let's just face it, man. Dallas, for the better part of 10 years, has had their way with the NFC East. Mm-hmm. And that's just the way that it's been. So, yeah, you can hate these teams and you can have dislike for them and rivalries of the past or whatever. But until Washington gets good again, and I think that's not happening until they get a quarterback. And I don't think Sam Howell's their answer. I don't think he's the long-term answer for them. I think they're going to end up, they'll need to draft a quarterback or, trade for one, however they end up doing that. But until they get a quarterback, I don't see that rivalry renewing itself because, we're going to just keep pounding their heads into the cement, and they're consistently finishing towards the bottom of the barrel. Even though the other day I was researching to find out when the last time they won the NFC East, I forgot they won it in 2020 with a losing record, with a 7-9 record. I still can't believe that we didn't make the playoffs that year. We won 6 wins.
That was the year Dak. That was the year Dak broke his ankle, right?
Dak broke his ankle. Dak broke his ankle, and we were one game away. We were one game out. Isn't that crazy? That was when they started calling us the NFC least.
Yeah, yeah. That was those. Yeah, I try and forget that year. So, Mikey, I mean, you don't have much history with
the
them.
only memory I have with Washington is when RG3 was there.
Yeah,
and maybe I say maybe Kirk Cousins, but when I think of Washington, I think of like RG3, like even
that short little stint. That's about all they had on us. And
but I feel like growing up, Washington hasn't had a solid. Like I'm talking like solid quarterback.
No. It hasn't, and the comment by Jeff, Aikman to Rocket Ismail, the 41-35 walk off, that was great. Yeah, the Romo, the where he ended up his back, the last play, and he ended up throwing the touchdown to somebody. I can't remember who it was, but ended up winning that game. So there's been some moments, but it's just been flashes. And I think that's what I was trying to get at when I put out this list is you get flashes. When you talk about Washington, there's just flashes of it, but there's been more of it with Washington than our number 5 team, which would be the Eagles. And the Cowboys are 73-56 against the Eagles. 3 wins to 1 loss in the playoffs. The only loss they had was actually to send the Eagles to the Super Bowl in 70 or 81, whatever it was, which they went on to lose. We all know they're used to losing Super Bowls, so that's just nothing new for them. But they get so upset because what I'm going to say, and then I want Kelly and then Mikey to jump in. I don't consider them a big rival. When we talk about Steelers, Packers, 49ers, we gave you the records. We gave you the playoff history. We gave you what it meant to beat them in the playoffs, going to Super Bowls or not going. Everything was on the line. With the Eagles, it just hasn't been that way. The rivalry is only big when both teams are really good. Like right now, you can say, yeah, it's a rivalry because both teams are good. You're fighting for the division. You're fighting for this. But if the Eagles aren't any good, who cares? It's not a game you look on the schedule and say, oh, my God, I'm circling that one. I cannot wait to play the Eagles. I don't. I mean, now I do because they're good. I'm like, all right, we're playing them Sunday night. I'm going to be heading out there. But when they stink, I could give 2 craps about it. So that's why it's hard for me to say they're a rival. Is it a division foe? People say, oh, no, all your rivals got to be in the division. I don't think that's true either. I think it's how it's made. Like, Kelly, to your point, historic rivalries. Steelers, Packers, 49ers, Cowboys. Name another team. If we're missing one, I don't know who the hell it is that would go above those 4 teams as probably your biggest franchises in NFL history. And we have a lot of history of Super Bowls and playoff games and everything with them. So for the Eagles, it's a great game when we're both good, but if we're not, who cares? So that's my feeling on it. Kelly, what's your take?
I agree. I second that sentiment. It's one of the things where I mean, if you look at it, I mean, hell, the Cowboys could get, swept for like the next 6 seasons and the Eagles would barely be trying to even up the series. So yeah, it's not very close. It's not close. It's not one of those things where, I mean, we pretty much dominate the Eagles and everything that you can think of in terms of, winning seasons, playoff appearance, whatever metric you want to go by. There's not a metric that the Eagles could top us in. And it's one of those things where I think for me, it's not really so much that it's a rivalry. It's just, it's a hatred and it's more for the fan base, right? Yeah. Because it's how the fan base has reacted over the years, whether it was booing Michael Irvin when he laid on the ground and his career was over, or, cheering it, not booing, but cheering that. And it's not the first time they've cheered injuries. They've cheered injuries for other players, the way that their fans embrace almost kind of like the if you come to our stadium, you're getting your ass whooped if you're wearing another team jersey. Just kind of all of that, all in all, just gives you a true dislike for the fans. A lot of the interactions that I've had on social media, very negative. It's one thing to talk football and to go back and forth with people, but it always seems to go like personal with them. That's like the first thing they resort to is to go personal with it. So I don't know. For me, it's more of just a disdain for their fans. Don't get me wrong. There has been Eagles teams that I've hated. I thought when we had the Romo and Donovan McNabb, they kind of went at it for a few years, and Romo got the better of them there in those playoffs. Or they beat the Eagles 3 times that year. So, but yeah, I mean, a rivalry has to be a little bit more one-sided, and the games really have to mean something. And we haven't played a lot of those meaningful games with Philadelphia that you can look back and be like, that game really set up, us or them one way or the other. And it just really hasn't had that for me. I think the reason right now why it's kind of, I won't say peaked, but where it is right now, where it's at this crescendo, is that both the Eagles and the Cowboys, both really good teams right now. Yeah. So whenever you're really good, that means the games do mean a little bit more when you play. And obviously you do want to win. I mean, if the Cowboys play on December 10th, hopefully the Eagles lose a game or two before the end, or at least one, and and then we're playing to maybe take that division lead. That'll mean a little bit more to us, but yeah, and it's not a slight at the Eagles. Eagles fans, they always take it as that, but little brother syndrome.
It is, and the Bobby, the Eagles have been far more successful. They've won a Super Bowl in the last 30 years, so they're one Super Bowl ahead of us.
Yeah.
If you're going to look at the history, you can look at the whole history. It's 5-1. Still got a lot of catching up to do. So I wish you luck. Hopefully, as long as we're not the ones that you guys are beating to get there, I'm fine with it. But I don't think that'll happen. So the Cowboys, that's what you say. It's not a diss. The rivalry is big for for Twitter. I mean, Jay Tuck always called it Twitter Bowl because everyone kind of gets into it, and it's the fans have more jabbing at it than we do. But that's what ends up happening. Oh, we lost Mikey. There he goes. He fixed himself. But anyway, so they end up fixing. He gets all upset about the Eagles. That's what happens. But it's not, and they take it personal. And it's like you said, that little brother syndrome where they want to, hey, we're your biggest rival. That's because, they wear the Eagles Dallas Week shirts and they do all this stuff. And you can look at Washington. Washington makes songs about the Cowboys and Dallas really doesn't do that because, like I said, to me, our rivals are the teams that we just had history with where things mattered, and that's the 49ers, Packers, and Steelers, to your point. So, again, it's not a knock on the Eagles. They're a division team, so I think someone said they're a rival in a sense, right? You're playing each other twice. You build that up. But when I think of what matters and when I look at the schedule and like Eugene Lockhart, you circle it down, I would circle Green Bay, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco before I would those other teams.
Yeah.
So,
no,
Mikey, anything on the Eagles for you? You have more of the recent history. You had them number one.
Yeah, they're your number one.
What it is, if you're from this generation, both teams have been pretty good, consistently the last 20 years. So this is going to be number one for your generation.
Well,
so
I think of like Vic.
Yep.
Deshaun Jackson, Shady McCoy. I think of those teams like Romo versus Vic, or now Dak versus Hurts. Even Dak versus Carson Wentz was a good rival for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just that's the game. That's one of the games I always look forward to. I'm like, okay, when are we playing Philly? Because I hate their fans so much because they just talk so much crap to me at school, and I gotta
hear you. Do you hear him, Kelly?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear him for a minute. Sorry. Go ahead.
Where was
the kids talk crap at school?
No. I have a friend who's an Eagles fan who just doesn't shut up. So
no, and that's what they do. They're the biggest talkers. So if we had like the biggest talker, they'd probably be number one. But it's funny, they talk without any results. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, like I got an argument with a guy I work with. He's a Patriots fan. Conveniently, a Patriots fan. He's a younger generation. And all he saw was Tom Brady. Tom Brady's good, so you see the success. And I got to hear it his mouth. And I said, you enjoy those moments because it could be a very long time. And that's what I laugh about with the Eagles. The Eagles won their Super Bowl 2 years in the making? And they act like they've been there and won a million of them. The Cowboys haven't won in 28 years. It sucks. Hey, man, I'm embarrassed that they have. That's something you wouldn't want as a fan, but we did win 5, and I guess you can't erase those. We dust them off. I've been to the Star. They're very shiny. The original ones are there. They're not dusted off or cloudy or anything like that. So you can't erase the history. But the Eagles act like they're the New England Patriots with one Super Bowl. Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, that, and then there's always the timeline on it. You got to put a timeline on it. They talk about you haven't won one in 30 years, and it's funny because they don't expire. They're still there. It's always just the logic just always baffles me. It's like how I don't get how somebody can say that with a straight face, sitting there having won. And I say, you had the same time frame. Actually, you've had longer than us. You were around before we were.
Yeah.
And you've got one. We've played under the same rules.
Well, if you go before Super Bowls, they got a couple NFL championships when there's like 8 teams.
When there was like 8 teams, yeah.
And they still aren't ahead of us.
Even if you add those to the mix, they're still not ahead of us. But I mean, it's just, they sit there and tell you all this, and I'm just like, look, the math, no matter how you cut the math, no matter how you want to put it, 5 is always going to be greater than 1. And I swear, if they talk about, well, you talk about them old trophies, blah blah blah, this or that, but I promise you, in 2047, the Eagles will still be talking about the Super Bowl they won, the one Super Bowl in 2017. I can promise you. The people, the Eagles fans that saw that in 2017, saw that win, they'll still look back on that fondly. They'll still talk about it. They'll still be proud of it because they don't have expiration dates on them. They just don't expire. And for those of us that were around, that saw them and got to witness those Super Bowls, they were a great thing, And now we want to get this for the younger generation. We want to get Mikey here to see a Super Bowl, have him witness a Super Bowl. It's a great feeling.
And the funny thing is Mikey, I mean, we get that Super Bowl. I promise you, in 5 years, let's say we were blessed to win. In 5 years, oh, you guys didn't win. Yeah. Oh, you guys didn't win. It'll be right back to it. And the worst thing that ever happened to the Cowboys, Eagles, if you want to call it a rivalry, was the Eagles winning the Super Bowl because they never said a word. They never talked about the years, never talked about nothing because they never had anything. They finally get that one. That's why I said they're going to hold that one so tight. And hey, be proud of it. I got no hate. Yeah. Be proud of that one, but don't disrespect the 5 that we got, and don't disrespect the 3 that I saw with my own eyes. I wasn't a little baby. I was living on my own. I was grown up. I was coming out of high school and then living on my own for the last one at least. So I mean, I remember them well, and I'll talk about them. And if we don't win another in 30 years, I'll be an old man talking about those again. So anyway. But anyway, it's all good. It's all fun. And my man Bobby, he might be. He'll be your age. He'll be your age when you saw your first one, and now we're all even. So again, there's no timeline on it. So anyway. Anything else we missed, Kelly, on this? I know we went long. We kind of did 2 shows in one because we're off, but I'm going to cut it up and we'll
it's a Thanksgiving special, yes. Man. It's a Thanksgiving special. Brought Mikey in here. We got this thing going. We're celebrating the 2,000 subscribers. People tuned in to win cuts, but then they stayed around for the conversation. So, no, I don't think we missed anything. I think that we got all the bases covered, man. And we're going to cover the bases again on this Thursday when we whoop that ass. When the Commanders come into Dallas and leave battered and bruised. When the Dallas Cowboys, the only thing we're giving you for Thanksgiving, Commanders, is a hot shower. But you ain't staying for dinner.
See, that's why I like Bobby. At least he has a sense of humor. He said he waited as long as Mikey did too. So that's why I said, you got an Eagle fan like that, we can have fun back and forth. And I get it, man. You guys can poke fun at us because we didn't get our Super Bowl. You guys have won more recently. So have fun with it. But, man, I got something for you guys when it happens. I've been waiting and waiting. It's like brewing inside of me. And when it finally happens, I'm sure Kelly and I will probably both be we'll probably have we'll be on a wanted list in some areas when Dallas wins that 6th Super Bowl. It's going to get real ugly on Twitter between the both of us. So you guys better pray we don't. But anyway, hey, you guys, everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. I will do a program announcement. Kelly, I don't know what your plans are. It's out there. We're going to do a little turkey talk. We're going to be talking a little Cowboys football. We're going to be mixing it up a little bit with a couple guests coming in, just having some fun in the morning. Real quick show talking about the Commanders and really, not really the Commanders, but talking about Thanksgiving memories. Your greatest Thanksgiving memories, whether it be with the Cowboys or other team. We'll have a fun little show. Just go for a little bit while hopefully mom's cooking, the wife's cooking, somebody's cooking in the kitchen, but I don't know if it'll be me. They don't want me to cook, but we're going to have a good time. So if you can make it, great. If not, we'll be live back on our next scheduled time, and hopefully we'll be talking after a win. And then more importantly, Kelly and I are going to be fueling. I'll be fueling up the Learjet, maybe pick him up on the way, but we're going to be going down to AT&T for Thursday night football to see these Cowboys take on Seattle. That should be a fun game.
That is going to be a fun game.
What do you think about that, Kelly? You pumped for that one?
I'm ready for that, man. Now, is this the game that Mikey picked at the beginning of the year that he's going to?
No, he picked
No,
Philly.
Oh, okay. I thought he'd pick Seattle at first.
No, he picked Seattle. That's right. He picked Seattle, and then I said, "Well, Philly."
He talked him into Philly.
Good
Yeah,
memory,
talked
Kelly.
him into the Philly game.
You
Well,
did
good,
pick
good,
Seattle
good.
first. You picked Seattle first, and then I said, "You sure about that?" Because I know someone's going to gobble up that Philly game real quick, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And the crazy thing is I think I'm going to be at AT&T their next 3 games. So you know what that means? That's 3 wins. So we'll be looking good at home. But make sure. Appreciate everyone who hung around. I know we went long, so we had people coming in and out. But enjoy your. I got to. Oh yeah, he does have to be. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. We'll be back maybe Thursday morning. If not, if we don't see you then, have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll leave you with this. Mikey, thank you for joining.
No, of course.
Make sure you follow Mikey on Twitter. He doesn't tweet enough, but when he does, it's actually good stuff. He just doesn't tweet enough. But
I'll tweet more.
all right, there you go. And Kelly, everyone in the world knows how to find Kelly. And me, you know where to find me. So we don't even need to give that out. But make sure you hit that like, subscribe, share. We had a great time. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Kelly, you go ahead and send us off with something.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy your time with your family and your loved ones. Enjoy the football. Have a safe Thanksgiving. Thank you guys again for helping us get to the 2K. We're looking forward to going to bigger and better as we reach towards the 5K. So make sure you share your friends around the Thanksgiving table as you're giving thanks. Give thanks to the Cowboys Cave and let your friends and family know where to find us at and subscribe to the channel. So thank y'all very much, Cowboys Nation. Mikey, thanks for joining in tonight, man. You guys have a happy Thanksgiving as well.
All right, take care. You too.
Have a great night, guys.
Take it over. Yeah. Take it, Billy.